My name is Randall Eggert. This class is Grammar and Stylistics. It's about writing clearly.
Punctuating the beginning of a grammatical sentence. 5 rules and 2 principles. This video is adapted from an appendix in Williams and Bissop's Style Lessons in Clarity and Grace. Again, like a previous video I did about ending a grammatical sentence, this one relies on a notion of grammatical sentence. I have another video on sentence structure, and I have a video on writing versus speaking that defines what a grammatical sentence is. All right, the 5 rules are as follows. First, separate an introductory element from the subject with a comma if readers might misunderstand otherwise. 2, never end an introductory subordinate clause or introductory phrase with a semicolon. 3, never put a comma right after a subordinator if the next element is the clause subject. 4, avoid a comma right after a conjunction if the next element is the subject. 5, put a comma after an introductory word or phrase that comments on the whole of the sentence, or if it transitions from one sentence to another. All right, so those are the rules. Now we're going to go over them and look at some examples. Number 1, separate an introductory element from the subject with a comma if readers might misunderstand otherwise. So this is a bomb. This is not how you should do it. When a writer spells, certain words can be confusing. So notice when you read this, it's very easy to read it wrong. You could read it when a writer spells certain words, and then you come to this auxiliary and verb and you realize, oh wait, that's wrong. You have to begin over again. That's called a garden path sentence, one that you begin down one path and realize it's the wrong way and have to go over and start again. The correct way to do this would be to put a comma after spells so the reader doesn't have that chance to misunderstand. Second rule, never end an introductory subordinate clause or introductory phrase with a semicolon. So this one has the skull and crossbones, meaning that this is just wrong. This is a grammatically incorrect way to punctuate. Even if the subordinate clause that begins the sentence is particularly long and you think it needs a semicolon, it doesn't. The way to do this, obviously, would be with a comma instead of a semicolon. Never put a comma right after a subordinator if the next element is the clause subject. Don't write a sentence like this because it is wrong. No comma there. Avoid a comma right after a conjunction if the next element is the subject. So this is quite similar to the previous one. You might be tempted to put a comma after a conjunction, but you should not do so. So the comma here is good because this but is conjoining 2 grammatical sentences. It's this comma here that's the problem because you've got the subject coming right after it. So it should look like this. You should not put a comma after the conjunction in the above sentence, but in this sentence, the comma after but is optional. So this comma is optional because the subject, which is in this sentence the comma, is not right after but. So in this case, if you wanted to surround this interrupter here, or this introductory element, with commas, that would be fine. And then our 5th rule, put a comma after an introductory word or phrase that comments on the whole of the sentence, or if a transition from one sentence to another. So you've got, in light of this rule, here you've got a preposition phrase that comments on the whole of it. You should put a comma after rule in this sentence. And then we begin our next grammatical sentence. Moreover, comma, you should put a comma after words like moreover, however, therefore. So what these are called, moreover, however, therefore, these are coordinating adverbs. They act as a bridge from one sentence to the next, from one grammatical sentence to the next. And for that reason, we should have a comma right after a coordinating adverb. when it begins a grammatical sentence. Okay, here are our two principles. Readers usually don't need a comma between a short introductory element and the subject, with the exception of introductory elements that comment on the whole sentence, see Rule 5 that we just looked at. And 2, readers usually need a comma between a long introductory element greater than about 4 words and the subject. So principles differ from rules in that they're violable. These aren't going to get you accused of being ungrammatical. These are just guides to help readers to understand your writing. If you follow these, it's going to be easier on your readers to understand your sentences. So let's give some examples. Readers usually don't need a comma between a short introductory element and the subject. In this sentence, readers don't need a comma. You could put a comma right here after sentence, but readers probably don't need it. Readers usually need a comma between a long introductory element and the subject. In sentences with a long introductory element, such as this one, comma, readers will want the comma. So in this case, this is more than 4 words. It's going to make it a lot easier on your reader if they see that comma there, because then they know, oh, this is the subject of the sentence, readers. And they don't have to hunt for the subject. Readers need to find that subject quickly. That's part of the way that we process language.